Good day everyone, by the way my name is Judeline Olor. So today, I'll be presenting our findings on policy application, affirmative action, and production cost. So first, what is policy application, affirmative action, and production cost? So the affirmative action, it is a policy that aims to increase opportunities for historically advantageous groups or advantage groups such as minorities, women, and people with disabilities. But in this case mo sa disabilities, in Philippines, way kadayaw kuan opportunities ang mga disabled people. But in other country, a lot of disabled people maila opportunity na maka-work ngadto sa ila. It is also involved taking proactive measures to ensure fair presentation and access to resources. So second is production costs. Production costs are the expenses incurred in creating a good or services. These costs include raw materials, labor, manufacturing overhead, and marketing expenses. Affirmative action aims to make workplaces first for group who have historically nga nag-face sila og discrimination like women or minorities. It is also sometimes means companies have to hire a certain number of people from these groups. So the question is, does this extra effort cost companies money? So some worry that if a company has to hire someone less qualified just to meet a quota, it might make the company less efficient and more expensive to run. Okay, let's see for example, naisa ka bakery and they needs a great baker but has to hire someone less skilled just to meet a diversity goal. Tapos, the cakes might not be as good. Kibali, way lami, and it might cost more to train that person. Okay, next is figure 315. To explain this graph, x-axis represent the quantity of white labor employed and y-axis represent the quantity of black labor employed. Okay, the curves is, as you can see, there are different of curves in the graph. So first graph, that curve called isoquants. These are curves showing different combination of white and black labor that produce the same level of output. The further output an isoquant is the higher level of output. The shape of the isoquant is crucial. If it's convex to the origin, the white and black labor are not perfect substitute. So pag i-convex siya sa original, ang white and black labor dili siya mahimong perfect. Meaning that replacing one with the other won't maintain the same level of output. The next curve is isocost. These are straight lines showing different combinations of white and black labor that cost the same amount to the firm. The slope of the isocost reflect the relative wages of white and black labor. A steeper slope indicates that white labor is relatively more expensive. So, mas expensive ang white labor. Next is, yung nakita niyo na points, it's called, yung point P, it's called discriminatory firm. This point would represent the hiring mix chosen by a discriminatory firm. It would lie on an isoquant is tangent to the isocost. This indicates that the firm is not minimizing its cost given its output level. Okay, next is point Q. It's called affirmative action. This point represents the hiring mix after the implementation of affirmative action. It would be on a higher isoquant, more output, or the same isoquant but on a lower isocost or lower cost than point P. This shows that affirmative action can lead to either mag-increase efficiency or cost savings or pwede sa both for discriminatory firms. So, to understand more about the graph visually demonstrates how a firm hiring decisions are affected by both economic factors, like for example, wages and productivity, and also the potential discriminatory practices. And affirmative actions impact is shown by a shift from point P to point Q, highlighting the potential for both cost savings and increased efficiency in discriminatory firms, while potentially increasing costs in non-discriminatory firm. And the shape of the isocant is the key to understand the differences in productivity between white and black workers. Next is discriminatory firms. These are firms that engage discriminatory hiring practices, employing fewer minority workers than would be economically efficient. Like for example, a tea company that historically hires mostly white male engineers because they might believe incorrectly that women and minorities is lack the necessary skills. But however, if they are forced through affirmative action to consider a more diverse applicant pool, they might find highly skilled women and minority engineers who were previously overlooked. This is because discrimination might prevent them from accessing the best talent pool, leading to a suboptimal. Next is non-discriminatory firms. These are firms that already hires based on economic principles. Unlike sa discriminatory firm na wala sila mag-base sa economic principles. In this firm, they choose workers based on their skills and productivity without bias. Unlike sa discriminatory nga, na ay bias na porkit babae or minor, ang ila pananaw is lack na din siya ng skills and productivity. For this firm, affirmative action might increase cost. This is because it forced them to deviate from their optimal hiring mix. Okay, next is the difference between isoquant and isocost. So first is isoquant. Isoquants derive from Greek word iso means equal or same, and quant means quantity. An isoquant is a curve showing all different combinations of two inputs, typically, which is capital and labor, nga nag-produce siya sa same level of output. Tapos, each isoquant represent a specific output label. Tapos, higher isoquant nag-represent siya ng higher output levels. And next is isocost. An isocost line shows all the different combination of two inputs that can be purchased for a given total cost. Next is competitive equilibrium. The passage assumes a competitive market where firms are price takers. But pasabot, they cannot influence wages. Okay, next is feelings versus price. Price refers to decisions based siya purely on economic efficiency and market forces, while the feelings is nag-represent siya sa decisions influenced by subjective factors, emotions, biases, and personal preferences. It is also highlights the potential conflict between economic efficiency and social consideration. Price-driven approach might lead to the most efficient outcome from a purely economic standpoint, but could result in unfair or discriminatory practices sa price. Mag-result siya ng unfair or discriminatory practices. While feelings-driven approach might prioritize social goals, mas gi-prioritize ang social social goals, or personal preference, but could lead to a less efficient allocation of resources. Okay, last is our conclusion. The economic impact of affirmative action depends on the firm's initial hiring practices. It can lead to cost savings for discriminatory firms, but many increased costs for colorblind firms that were already operating efficiently. The differences in workers' productivity play a crucial role in determining the. That's all, guys. Thank you for listening. God bless.